Shalom, shalom. I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahshai, Bahashem, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us this truth in sincerity. Peace and mercy to the whole elect that are pushing this word, and salutations to the sisters and few Akim and few sisters that may be listening as well. So today we're going to talk a little broadly on culture of our people. There's a lot of our people from the islands are just all over the place, really. They follow some of our cultures and rituals or things that we do or customs. Even if they're unaware of the fact that they're Israelites, they tend to follow it because, you know, our people are kind of scattered abroad in Africa, islands, and things along those lines. We have similar customs that we do, but just go by different names. Again, usually not aware that we are actually following these customs. Even I'll talk to, I have friends in Colombia, and we talk about certain things about what his people do in Colombia, and I'm from the tribe of Judah. So what people do in Jamaica, where it's funny because we'll find a lot of common or similar things that we do, and even the food that we eat is similar as well. So it's interesting to interesting to find. But yeah, we're going to talk about culture, learning from the elders and things along those lines. I think we'll start with the definition of culture.
Okay, so this is culture in the etymology online. It says a tilling of the land, an act of preparing earth for crops. It says cultivating agriculture. It says care and honoring, to tend, to guard, to till, cultivate. It also says, hold on. Let's see.
He mentioned honoring there too, because a lot of times the customs, like the customs that we practice today, that we like the ones that we practice from the scriptures, like the Israelites that are, of GMS. When you talk to Christians and stuff, they're like, "Why are you following these stupid customs? The Sabbath and well, at least my mother says that stuff." And I find other possible Israelite people in the world who say that as well, and they don't understand we're practicing the customs. We're practicing. Can you go through some of that again?
It says a cultivating. It says a care, to tend, to guard, to till, to cultivate. There's a little bit more down here. It also says learning and taste the intellectual side of civilization. Collective customs of the achievements of a people, a particular form of a collective intellectual development.
Yeah, because we should all be on the same page intellectually as well, like the customs and the way that we live and the behaviors that we have, because it's all from Yahweh. So the Israelites should all be on the same page in those regards. So the customs kind of help with that, because that is our culture, our beliefs, our behaviors, our customs. That's the way that we talk, the things we do. That is it's all from Yahweh, and it's passed down from our elders usually. Now it's but it's funny because a lot of times, if Jakes don't have good elders like Jake in the hood or Jake that go from bad areas, they don't have any culture. That's why they become niggas or niggards,
They have no culture.
Khan.
Where is it? Hold on. Wait, hold on.
So with the Proverbs.
Wait, actually, bring yours out because I'm still looking for mine.
Okay, Khan. I'll bring out Ecclesiasticus 8:9. Despise not the discourse of the wise, but acquaint thyself with their proverbs, for of them thou shalt learn instruction in how to serve great men with ease. Verse 9, miss not the discourse of the elders, for they also learned of their fathers, and of them thou shalt learn understanding, and to give answers as need requireth. So you get that understanding, that direction from our elders. Elders are meant to teach us and pass down the information. And you see this in a lot of movies when it comes to, especially with Gad, they show it in a lot of old movies.
Yeah.
Always passing down, like they'll smoke pipe with the elders. The what's it called? The Passage of Man? Is that what that's called?
Rite of passage?
Yeah, the rite of passage. A lot of their like a lot of then they'll go through the rite of passage and things like that.
Oh, the
Those
sweat lodge
customs.
thingy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's different ones that different nations do. Like I know, even I saw this tribe in Africa. I saw it on Instagram recently. They're known for jumping very high.
Oh,
Yeah.
over like a cattle.
No, just in general, like I don't know
Oh.
if they jump over things, but I know they jump very high in general. Like they bounce it like straight leg, and they're not considered men. Or pretty much the higher they jump, like they're not considered men until they learn how to jump properly, and they jump a certain height. And the women choose men who could jump higher. It's interesting, but that's kind of their rite of passage. But
Yeah.
you know, they're following it in a weird way, but they still following the customs, if that makes sense. But again, they show this a lot in movies with Gad and stuff, but that's what our elders are meant to do. They show us what to do. They show us the ways that we should follow, give us instruction on how to serve Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai.
Con. Yeah, that's yeah, on a micro scale, that's within our camp at like the Great Millstone camp, because
Con.
we have our elders, and then we have the apostles. But even in the ancient times, that still existed, right? So a good example of that was I'll just use King David as an example. Like when King David went off and then he slept with when he committed adultery, you know, he was visited by Nathan the prophet, right? So even King Saul as well had Samuel before he passed, right? And then Samuel will give him the instructions. Okay, this is the will of the Lord, and this is how you actually move and conduct yourself, right? And a lot of the things that made I don't want to say what made King Saul a bad king. Is just that he was very disobedient, essentially, right? And that's going back to the earlier point he made about niggas, right? Because they're uncultured, right?
It's funny because they might have the zeal. I'll just bring out this quick piece up here. Romans 10:2 might bring out 3 as well. For I bear them record that they have a zeal of Yahweh, but not according to knowledge. For they, being ignorant of Yahweh's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of Yahweh. So they might be doing stuff, but it's not, according to the actual righteousness of Yahweh, although they think they are, or they unknowingly are doing it, ignorantly.
A good example of that is because we're in the weekend of Easter. A lot of people are actually worshiping and going to church and laying out the rabbits or the eggs and all that kind of stuff. Like rabbits don't even lay eggs. Come on, like let's put the thinking caps on, right? And they think that's actually, they have a zeal, so they would go to church and do all the rituals, but they're not actually. This isn't actually, it's not like Barak is saying, it's not properly serving the Lord. You're actually just following a pagan custom. Right? The scripture says that learn not the ways of the heathen, right? Because their customs are vain. Right, to roughly paraphrase.
And a lot of them don't even know it's pagan idolatry. They're like, you tell them that, they're like, what are you talking about? Isn't God's birthday Christmas and all this foolishness? Is like, what?
That goes back to Mithra, right? So like,
and the Saturnalia and all that. That shit. God, exactly. Ishtar for Easter.
Yeah.
Literally, they're walking around saying Happy Easter, go eat some fish or whatever.
Bun and cheese.
Con, yeah, man.
Hot crust buns.
Doing some foolishness. They don't even know. Like they used to put eggs. They used to color the eggs with baby blood, man.
Oh my God.
The sacrifices. That's where the color of the eggs come from. They don't know that. They make kids go and find these colored eggs nowadays. Like yo. And they chose the rabbit because rabbits have a lot of kids, so it's like a sign of fertility. So more pagan idolatry inside of the pagan idolatry.
Yeah. Sex worship. Sex worship.
They did all that foolishness.
Yeah.
Did you end up finding a piece of?
Oh yeah, I did. Going back to the point when you said about niggas and elders, right? So this is Deuteronomy 21 verse 18. It says, if a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father, or the voice of his mother, and that when they have chastened him, will not hearken unto them, then shall his father and his mother lay hold on him and bring him out to the elders of his city, and unto the gate of his place, and they shall say unto the elders of this city, our son is stubborn and rebellious, and will not obey the voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. Verse 21, it says, and all the men of his city shall stone him with stones that he die, and shall put so shall thou put away so excuse me so shall thou put evil away from among you, and Israel shall hear and fear. Right, so we were just going into the point of this is also the importance of elders, right? So it's like an escalation essentially, right? And this is why we have elders to because they have the experience, they have the wisdom, right? The scriptures talk about essentially revering and the elders that when they have their gray hairs, that's kind of like their that's like their mark of wisdom. That's like their I forgot what the word is, right? So this is shows the importance of elders, and this shows the importance of actually, of culture, right? I grew up in the islands, and that's one of the things we had a fear of is the teachers, right? They weren't essentially an elder or like a prophet per se, but they were also an extension of the tribe as a whole, if you think of it in that sense, right? Because they will also had a hand in raising the children when the parents are not around, right? And because we've discontinued from a heritage, we've lost a lot of this information, especially when we're so immersed in Babylon the Great's mishmash of different cultures, right? So we're kind of tossed to and fro. So
I know my mother used to talk about when she was in Jamaica. If you're walking down the street past your elder, and you don't say good morning or hi, they can whoop you.
oh, well, there you go.
Just for not having respect. And that goes into Proverbs 13-24 real quick. Just he that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chasteneth him betimes.
Yeah.
So don't spare the rod and spoil the child. That's gotta add force if they don't hearken. Just like the kind of the precept you brought up there.
Yeah. And that's so important because especially in Babylon, it's kind of frowned upon if you're essentially chastising your children. Right, they call CAS, and essentially it gives more power to the children as opposed to the parents, to the household. Right.
And that's Babylon. Always trying to take away the right things that we should be doing.
Yeah, con. It's a perverse sacrifice.
I'm gonna bring out Titus 2:1. I'll start at 1.
Okay.
So it's titled "Duties of the Older and the Younger." So verse 1: But speak thou the things which become sound doctrine, that the aged men be sober, grave, temperate, sound in faith and in charity, in patience. So even as you're growing older, you're just learning you're learning how you should be acting, how you should carry yourself, in the world from the elders.
Well, scriptures say that a man may be known by his look and the way that he walks, not physically, the way that he carries himself. That shows a lot about your that you're properly cultivated. Essentially, going back to the topic of the lesson, but continue.
And the scriptures talk about. Well, when they see the hopeful elect, they're like, are these the men? Because they look ruggedy, but they have the wisdom. When they hear them talk, they're like, oh man, these men are wise.
This is the way but that's the way the Lord chooses.
Exactly.
Right.
Humble.
Exactly.
Meek.
Shows us the lowly things to confound the wise. Right. Look at Yahweh Shai when he was in the temple. And he was missing for like a couple of days, I think, and then he was confounding all these doctors and all these people in their different professions. It's kind of like the spirit that's on us, right? So continue this. As what you're saying.
Verse 3: The aged woman likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false, accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, and that the word of Yahweh be not blasphemed. And friend, that is lost a lot today. These women don't have like half of those those things instilled in them. We're just talking about a lot of women today not knowing how to cook. Like that alone is like how are you surviving as an adult woman not knowing how to cook?
And they detest it too. They detest
Con
it, yeah.
the lazy, like I don't want to learn how to cook because I don't want to be forced to cook. Whatever, just foolishness, just foolishness. It should be the base skill. You know, we're losing recipes like this. It's on this on Instagram here. A post talking about women not knowing how to cook and we're losing recipes because of that. But yeah, a lot of these things aren't instilled in any of them. They don't know how to be discreet, how to be chaste, keepers at home, good, clean. You can't do simple stuff. Come on, man. And
I think that's in Proverbs, you know, about a woman that is essentially diligent.
oh, come
Hold
on.
on.
See if you can find it. I'll
Yeah,
keep going.
yeah, keep
There's a
going,
few more lines here. Verse 6, young men likewise exhort to be sober-minded in all things, showing thyself a pattern of good works, in doctrine showing uncorruptness, gravity, sincerity. Con. So, I'll read verse 8 to finish off here. Sound speech that cannot be condemned, that he that is of the contrary part may be ashamed, having no evil thing to say of you. So how you carry yourself, if you're righteous, what are they going to try to roast you for? They can't say anything against you because you're upright. You're following the scriptures. You're in the doctrine showing uncorruptness, gravity, and sincerity. You have gravity, man. Your feet are rooted, so that nothing could be said against you. You're yeah, man. That comes from the elders.
Oh yeah, it's being properly cultivated, right? And then sometimes I look at some of these like clips online, like from BLM and protests and you know how Jake just conducts himself sometimes. They behave very unruly, and then it really goes back to the order because you know we don't have that fear. We don't have a healthy fear of the Lord. That's why this is why that a lot of this happens, right? And you know when the man's disorderly, and then leads to the woman being disorderly, and then the children, if there's no man around, you know they end up being disorderly. So they conduct themselves extremely disorderly because you know they're picking up other customs, Babylonian customs,
And
contrary customs to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua in our culture.
all the Babylonian beliefs, behavior, you know, nihilism, all the all the foolishness.
Okay. Hold on.
If you don't find it, I'll bring it I'll bring out the
keep
scripture as
going.
well. Exodus 18 and
It's funny.
I'll read 19.
That was funny. I was just reading that.
Oh, that's funny. That's the spirit. Exodus 18:19. Hearken now unto my voice. I will. Some just got a pop up on my phone. Slack. Hearken now unto my voice. I will give thee counsel, and Yahweh shall be with thee. Be thou for the people to Godward, that thou mayst bring the causes unto Yahweh. And thou shalt teach them ordinances and laws, and shalt show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do. So that's, you know, like again, just being shown you have to be shown the right direction, shown the right way to the right things to do, the right way to walk, with the customs, the beliefs, the behaviors that we act, and the things that we learn from our elders.
Yeah, yes, especially you learn the law, statutes, and commandments, right? You learn these things. Now we're not saved by the law, right? But you know there are particular things that we do and we keep, right? Because this is part of our culture. These are our customs. Yeah, I have this in Proverbs 31 in regards to like
Bring it out.
Yeah. Okay, Proverbs 31, and it kind of just goes into a little bit traits of like essentially a virtuous woman. It says verse 13. It says I'm reading in the NLT, the GNT, excuse me. It says she keeps herself busy by making wool and linen cloth. She brings home food. Just to add to what you were saying from Titus, she brings home food from out of the way places as merchant ships do. She gets up before daylight to prepare food for her family, and to tell her servant women what to do. She looks at land and buys it, and with money she has earned, she plants a vineyard. She is a hard worker, strong and industrious. She knows the value of everything she makes and works late into the night. She spins her own thread and weaves her own cloth. Okay, so sewing too, that's another thing as well. You know, knowing how to stitch, knowing how to actually take care of and then maintain a husband. I think that's also in Ephesians chapter 5. Just a little bit more, it says she is generous to the poor and needy. And if you really think of it as well, this can also be twofold, actually referring to us an actual woman and traits that she should have. But a lot of these things refer to the essentially the elect, because they actually
Con.
pertain to a lot of these traits that they do have. Because Yahushua said, "Then you shall know that these are my disciples," right? Because the the way that they deal with each other, essentially, they're being generous, they're exhibiting all these different spiritual fruits, right? And you can look at the way they act amongst each other. They're being brotherly. We do charity and so on and so forth. And that's not just limited to money. That can encompass like alms. It can encompass doing live lessons. Hearing out a fellow
Con.
brethren on the phone and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, even
Hard.
even providing direction with the scriptures. Stuff like
Counsel too. That's another thing as
Con.
well. Yeah. Just a little bit more. It says, verse 21. It says she doesn't worry when it snows because her family has warm clothing, and she makes bedspreads and wears clothes of fine purple linen. Her husband is well known, one of the leading citizens. She makes clothes and belts and sells to the merchants, right? So she essentially she's diligent, right?
Con.
Kind of like how we have that spirit, Lord's will. The Lord has mercy on us. We have that spirit. Also be diligent as well. Studying and reading and edifying, exhorting each other, and so on and so forth, right? So, just to add some twofold to what you're saying as well, right?